This week, we have a double Torah reading, Nitsavim Vayelekh. Nitsavim means to stand, Vayelekh means to go. Our rabbis teach that this double parsha before Rosh Hashanah is reflective of two goals. Nitsavim is to pause, to reflect, and in fact, in Nitsavim, in chapter 30, the second of the two chapters, the word shuv, return, will be repeated 7 times, and numbers and word choice is purposeful. We are to stand to consider what is the path that we may have strayed from. And yet, the goal is to move forward. And so the second of the two parshiyot is called Vayelekh, and he went. I read that in regard to speeches, what an audience most remembers is the peak experience, whether good or bad, in the course of a discourse, and how the audience felt at the end. Those are the two memories that endure. And what in studies have shown, people don't remember how long a speech was necessarily, though that might impact on how you feel at the end. What you remember again is the peak experience and then what remained with you when it finished. Parsha, Nitsavim, and Vayelekh are Moses' final words to the people. All the book of Deuteronomy is the speeches of a man who said of himself, Megamgim, I am a stutterer, when God asked Moses to go and be the spokesman. And Aaron came at the outset to help his younger brother, but now with Devarim, a series of farewell addresses to the people who will go forward without Moses. Nitsavim Vayelekh, the concluding words. So what I'd like to do is share with you Moses' voice with some commentaries by Rabbi Harold Kushner. You know, in our Eitz Chaim Chumash, there is the equivalent of bifocals. There are 2 commentaries on each page. One, above a line, is what's called pshat, kind of the literal contextual meaning of what is said. And then below the line is drash. What is the impact of this idea beyond place and time? For Torah is to be a teaching that transcends any one moment. In our case, the below the line was edited by Rabbi Harold Kushner. Above the line is the novelist and Rabbi Chaim Potok. So I'm going to share the pshat, the text itself, Moses' words, but add a few of the commentaries of Rabbi Harold Kushner. And so Moses, this is his third and final discourse to the people, begins. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. You stand this day, all of you, lifnei Adonai Elohechem, before the ever-present one, your God, roshechem shivtechem, the heads of your tribes, ziknechem, your elders, v'shodrechem, your officers, kol ish Yisrael, every individual of Israel, tapchem nishechem, from your babies to your wives, v'gercha asher b'kerev mechanecha, and those who are the guests, the visitors, who are in the midst of your camp, mechotei veitzecha, from the hewer of wood, ad sho'ev mimecha, until the drawer of water. So, to pause, Moses' final words emphasizes as follows in the commentary by Rabbi Harold Kushner. Quoting another rabbi, Baruch of Nitsavim. And as I look to Amy Robinson Canner, Nitsavim, of course, is a place famous for its song. The most popular melody for Psalm 23 is written by a contemporary chassid of Nitsavim. And here is what Baruch of Nitsavim says on this opening. The whole of the community is greater than the sum of its parts. Each individual Israelite may be flawed and imperfect, but when all of them join together, the strengths and good qualities of each are reinforced and magnified. This also teaches that one should not say, "It is not my responsibility," for everyone must do his or her share. And so everyone is gathered, La'avrecha bivrit Adonai Elohecha, to enter into the covenant of the Lord your God, which the Lord your God is concluding with you hayom, this day, with its sanctions, to the end that God may establish you this day as God's people and be your God, as God promised you, and as God swore to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I make this covenant with its sanctions, not with you alone. V'lo idchem levadchem ani koret et habrit hazot ve'et ha'alah hazot, and this oath, ki et asher yesh no po, but also with those who are not here. Imanu omed hayom, with them who stand this day, lifnei Adonai Eloheinu, before the ever-present one, our God, ve'et asher einenu po, and those who are not here, imanu hayom, with us this day. And so another commentary collected by Rabbi Harold Kushner on the comment, those who are not with us here this day. The souls of all future Jews present at this moment as they had been at Mount Sinai. That's Tanchuma. Moses' words can also be understood as referring to the physically ill or mentally handicapped, or perhaps could not be present but were still part of the community, or to those Jews who would reject the covenant but are still claimed by it and included in it. What right did our ancestors have to impose the obligations of this covenant on us? Why do we have to feel bound by their actions? Many aspects of our lives were determined by decisions of our parents and ancestors, including when and where we would be born, what skills and physical qualities we would possess, and where and how we would be educated. Maturity consists in accepting those conditions as the faces of our lives, rather than fantasizing about how our lives would have been easier had we have been born otherwise. Just a little bit more of the opening. When such a one hears the words of these sanctions, he may fancy himself immune, thinking, I shall be safe, though I follow my own willful heart to the other ruin of moist and dry alike. The Lord will never forgive that person, rather will the Lord's anger and passion raised against that person till every sanction recorded in this book comes down upon him or her, and the Lord blots out their name from under heaven. Moist and dry alike, Rabbi Harold Kushner, written now almost 40 years ago. Honest and deceitful alike, the wicked person calculates that a society can tolerate a certain amount of dishonesty. As long as most people tell the truth, a liar will be believed. If most people are honest, a swindler can take advantage of their presumption of good faith. And in reference to later generations will ask, how did those who lived before us permit themselves to despoil the earth, air, and water, not leaving us a livable environment? And so now I move to the end of this first parsha for its concluding words. Re'ei natati lifnechem hayom et hachayim v'et tov, v'et mavet v'et hara. Look, I place before you this day life and that which is good, death and that which is evil. For I command you this day, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom, lahava et Adonai Elohecha, to love the ever-present one your God, lalechet bidrachav, to go in God's ways, lishmor mitzvotav, to observe God's expectations, v'chukotav, even the inexplicable laws, umishpatav, and the rational laws, v'chayita v'ravita, so that you live and multiply, uveirachta Adonai Elohecha, and you will bless the ever-present one your God, ba'aretz, in the land, asher tavashama l'rishta, to the land that you will inherit. But if your heart turns away and you give no heed, and are lured into the worship and service of other gods, I declare to you this day, you will certainly perish. You shall not long endure on the soil that you are crossing, the Jordan, to enter and possess. Ha'edoti v'cha hayom, I call as witnesses this day at the Shemayim v'et ha'aretz, the heavens and the earth, hachayim v'hamavet, life and death, natata lefanecha, I place before you, habracha v'haklala, the blessing and the curse, uvacharta b'chayim, choose life, leman tichiyah, so that you will live, atav zarecha, you and future generations, la'ahava et Adonai Elohecha, in order to love the Lord your God, lishmoa b'kolo, to hear God's voice, uladafka bo, to cleave to the ever-present one, ki hu chayecha v'orach yamecha, for that is your life and the length of your days, in order lashevet al hadamah, to dwell on the soil, asher nishba Adonai lavatecha, which the ever-present one gave to your ancestors, la'avraham, liyitzchak, v'liyaakov, to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob, latet lahem, so that they would have it. Ribono Shalom, Master of the universe, we know what is idolatry. Idolatry is to make that supreme, which is only a means. To worship God, gold, or power, to worship oneself. All of that is to not hear your voice, for only you are supreme. You who beckon us toward righteousness. May we hear your voice. May we choose life. Amen.